Hello there. My name is Olatunji Shobodu, and this is Emmet Leadership Academy. I'm the founder and CEO of Emmet Leadership Academy, and at Emmet Leadership Academy, leaders are nurtured by truth. Leaders are nurtured by truth. I want to speak to you today on what I have titled Seven Reasons Why People Won't Follow You and Why You Shouldn't Lose Sleep Over It. Seven reasons why people will not follow your leadership and why you should not lose any sleep over it. Now, as you can see in that title, you you can immediately appreciate what the problem is. We tend to get worried as leaders, and perhaps rightly so, when our followers are not responding, when we don't have influence with them. Some leaders, some of us can be overwhelmed. Some of us can be so concerned to the point that it affects our relationship with them, to the point that it affects the quality of the work that we do. Some of us even become vulnerable. And in that state of vulnerability, not feeling happy that we are unable to influence our people, we're unable to get them to show up, we're unable to get them to follow us, we're unable to motivate them. We do, a lot of things that we're not supposed to do. And essentially because we misinterpret the situation, we begin to knock ourselves over the head. We think that we're not doing leadership right. In some cases, that will be true. In some other instances, that's not quite true. In fact, rather than getting concerned, a good leader who knows what to look for will get excited. Will get excited because that situation may be pointing to something, and something that is very instructive. That situation could actually be positive, and a leader can take advantage of it, for his benefit, for the benefit of those who choose to follow nonetheless. So it's not as though you are not competent. It's not as though the people don't even like you. All right. It's important to be able to identify what are some of these reasons, and they are credible. And they happen every day. And they happen to other leaders as well. Because when you have this understanding, then you can be effective. You can apply yourself appropriately. And you can focus on the right things, and you can get the right results. You can get the right results. So the truth about situations like this and why you shouldn't lose sleep over situations like this is what I would like to share with you. At Emmet Leadership Academy, we understand the place of truth. Truths about leadership. And that's what gives leadership credibility. That's what makes you authentic. And that's what prepares you and makes you fit to actually operate as a leader, and a smart one at that. Now, let me say at this point that when you have situations like this, the chances are that those who would not follow you are just perhaps a few within your team. I'm assuming that not everyone has refused to follow you. That's an unusual situation. If that's what you are dealing with, then you truly need to look elsewhere. You need to look at the mirror. And who do you see standing in front of the mirror? You'll be seeing yourself. That means that you have a lot of self introspection to do. You have to assess yourself because the problem may not be with them, it may in fact be with you. But that's an unusual situation, and I believe you are probably not there. But if you do need help in that area, you can reach out to me, and I'm sure we can walk through whatever your situation is. Now, so let me say that when you have a situation where it's just some people who are proving difficult, some people who are refusing to commit to you, who are refusing to follow you, who are refusing to obey your instructions or your leading, who perhaps are even rebelling or betraying you in one sense or the other. When you have that kind of situation, the positive aspect of it is this, is that when you have done what you believe you are supposed to do, and such people still do not follow you, then you are being helped to identify those who are right for you as followers and separated from those who are wrong for you. Now, what that means, every leader will find himself or herself in a situation where some people will decide to follow and some will decide not to follow. Every leader, for you to be effective, you need those who follow you with their heart. You need those who are committed to following you. You need those who believe in you and trust in you. Those are the right followers. So when you have situations like this, it is helping you to identify who are the right followers and to separate them from the wrong followers. So you know where to dissipate your energy. And that way you can see you even become more effective. You become more effective. So number one, there is one thing you must understand. You are not sent to everybody. Yes, you are a leader, but not everybody will come under your leadership. What I mean by that is not that you are not the head of a unit or the department or even your business. I'm talking about the fact that in terms of committed followers, in terms of people who will benefit from your leadership, not everybody that you're supervising will benefit. Not everybody that you're supervising is expected to benefit. Some people will not prosper, will not respond, will not amount to much, will not be excited about your leadership. And that may be perfectly fine. All right? That may be perfectly fine. Now, at Emmett Leadership Academy, we like to make reference and to draw examples from the Word of God. All right? Now, there's something that Jesus said. He said, look, the prophet Elijah was not sent to everybody in Zarephath, in the city of Zarephath. He was sent to just a widow. All right? It says Elisha was not sent to everybody. He was sent to a man, Naaman. What that means is that there are leaders and there are leaders. The leader that I would respond to may not be you, but I may respond to some other leader. All right? It just happens like that. It may be that your style, all right, does not suit me or my personality. Okay? It may be that what I am looking for in a leader and I can't see it in you, and therefore I'm not inclined to follow you. But that's not your problem, all right? That's just the followers' problem, okay? So that's the first thing. We often think that just because we are designated as head, or just because we have been assigned a leadership role, therefore everyone must respond to us. Therefore, everyone must be our follower indeed. Therefore, we must be able to influence everyone. And there are too many examples like that. All right? So, should you worry yourself? No. Is that truth? Is that truth? That is the truth. Now, if that is true, I hope you can see the reason why you shouldn't worry yourself. Let me give you another illustration to further back that up. You must have heard, my sheep hear my voice and they follow me. That means the sheep follow the leader. But what do they hear? They listen to the voice of the leader. Those who should follow the leader will respond to the voice. Those who will not will hear the voice and will not respond. So the voice of the leader, as it were, is an instrument for identifying who should follow and who shouldn't follow. All right? So that should help. Number one, not everybody will follow you as a leader. Not everybody is destined to follow you. Okay? Now, number two, some people believe that you are not fit to be their leader for whatever reason. Now, some people, the problem is they overrate themselves. And so they look at you and they're wondering, why should you be my leader? For some of those people, they may in fact have graduated before you. They may be older than you. They just have their reason why they don't believe that you are qualified to lead them. So tell me, what can you do about someone who believes that you don't have what it takes just because they're older than you, or because they graduated ahead of you, or because they even joined the organization before you? And here you are now, leading them, heading their unit, and they're expected to report to you. But they can't see what you have to offer. All right? They are beclouded. Their judgment is beclouded by something that is more superficial. And so they won't. Your best efforts, that perception or that position that they have maintained becomes like a block. It will prevent them, for as long as they maintain that position, refusing to see reason, refusing to see what is good in you, they are not going to respond. Do you want to wear yourself out as a result? No. No. Because as long as that is the case, they won't. Is that your fault? No. Does that mean that you are not a good leader? No. Does that mean that you are not doing your job well? Far from it. But you can see what the problem is. That's number two. Number three, some people will not follow you because of familiarity. You would often hear that familiarity tends to breed contempt. Maybe they are friends, they're your friends. Maybe you were schoolmates. Maybe you even got into the organization at the same time. Some saw you while you were growing up. They probably were the ones who were taking you to school. Some were the ones teaching you some years ago. Maybe when both of you were in college, they have gotten too familiar. Some know your parents, your family friends, your close friends. And so they can't handle the fact that you have been given a role as their leader. It reminds me of what some people said about Jesus also. They said, but we know him. I mean, isn't he the carpenter's son? I mean, we know him, we know his parents, we know his brothers and sisters. What they were saying is, hello, how can you be the one, who will be leading us? How can you be the one who would be our savior? They couldn't just wrap that truth around their head. And they didn't benefit from his leadership. They didn't submit to him. All right? That familiarity bred contempt towards him from them. What Jesus worried about them, he said no. In fact, a time came when his mother and his brothers came to him while he was working. He was at work. And they came to tell him, they said, hello, your siblings and your parents, they are outside waiting for you. And he said, let me tell you who my siblings and my parents are. He said, they are those who listen to my word and do them. All right, can you see the voice thing again? Those who hear me and follow me. All right, they are the ones who are my parents, who are my brothers, who are my sisters. Talking about the fact that, all right, if you have any reason not to listen to me and to follow me, that's your cup of tea. But you are not going to benefit from what I carry or what I have to offer, except, of course. But if you hear my voice, you have the opportunity, okay, to process what you hear and to determine whether I should be followed or not. So you shouldn't worry yourself because you may be in that kind of situation as well. Now, number 4, some will lose out. They won't follow you because they are not sensitive enough to observe that walking with you, walking under you, being led by you is the key to their fulfillment in life, at least at that point. All right? A time came again, that somebody with that profile of Jesus, he got to a city and he wept over that city. What was the lamentation? He lamented. He said, if only you knew the time of your visitation, meaning that your leader has come, but you are not sensitive enough to identify him and therefore to benefit from him. It's the same way. Some people see you and they see you just as you, and they can't see that their destinies and their future, their growth and their development is tied to working with you, to submitting to your leadership. What can you do about that? Another statement of truth. Another statement of truth. Another statement of truth. Now, some others, that's point number 5, will judge you not based on the interaction that they're having with you, but they will judge you on the basis of what others are saying about you. Those people are not independent enough to assess you for who you are, to see the benefit that you have to offer. And especially if you turn out to be firm, all right, and disciplined, they won't see see for themselves that this is the way to go, that you are the one to walk with. Rather, they would listen and get caught up in what others are saying about you. So, in a sense, they lose the opportunity to walk with you because they are listening to the voice of a stranger, not to your own voice. That's a choice that they have made. And you know, no leader can force anyone to follow. Each one will make the decision whether or not to follow. And that decision is partly based on what they hear. If they choose to hear the stranger, if they choose to listen to their friends, if they choose to listen to any other person other than you, then they will be influenced to that extent and they won't follow you. Again, is that your fault? No. Is that something to worry about? Perhaps not. Perhaps not. Perhaps not. That's number 5. Number 6. Now, there are people as well who cannot handle the demands of following you. To follow a leader, a good one at that, is not piece of cake. It's not a walk in the park. I wrote an article recently, The Rough Path to a Sure Destination, talking about the fact that a leader, a good leader, has a great destination in mind for those who choose to follow. However, the journey has rough patches. The journey has some very rough patches. Not everybody will be able to handle that. So some people won't follow you because they can't submit. They don't have the capacity to pass through those rough patches. I'll use another example. A time came, someone came to Jesus. He saw, essentially, the beauty of being a leader. He must have gotten carried away with the fact that with what he saw, just like many are carried away today. When they look at you sitting in that position, they see other things. They don't see the sacrifice that is involved. They don't see the pains that the leader has to bear because of others. They don't see the burden that the leader carries. So he came to me, he said, sir, he came to him and he said, sir, I'm going to follow you everywhere. Anywhere you go, I will follow you. I'm committed. I'm ready to follow you. And then the master, the leader told him, he said, look, let's make some things clear. He said, foxes have holes. Birds have nests. He said, but if you look at me, in this role of leadership, I have nowhere to lay my head. That means that this journey is pretty rough, or can be rough. And he was asking, would you be able to endure? Would you be able to endure? There will be tough times. There will be times of discipline. There will be times when, things are just tricky. Will you be able to follow? Some people will not be able to follow. Some people cannot handle those demands, and they are not going to follow you. Again, the reality of the leadership journey is that there will be those times. The demands are not piece of cake. If you are to do leadership right, you can't negotiate those demands. You can't negotiate those demands. And so whoever doesn't want to follow, you have to let it go. Is that something to lose sleep about? No, because each one has his own responsibility. You have your responsibility as the leader on that journey, but the people who are following you also have their own responsibilities. If they are not willing to shoulder it, there is no point in them following you. If you attempt to force them to, that's bringing an excessive burden on your side. It is, to, you know, towing the path of doing leadership contrary to how it should be done. You won't benefit, and they won't benefit. What a shame it would be for that relationship. What a shame. And you would undermine the relevance of leadership to the life of the followers. You, by the way, as a leader, you are a product of leadership. And the challenge or the responsibility that you have is to replicate that in the lives of those who commit to following you. All right, so where are we? That's number 6. All right, there's still a couple more, but I'll give you this one more. Now, some people, all right, don't, some people will be offended at you. What do I mean? Now, there are people who believe that they should hold a place of significance, all right, in your thinking, in your life, in the way that you conduct your activities, than you have accorded them. They should hold a place of recognition, all right? There's some level of respect you should, maybe because they've done something for you in the past, maybe because they believe that they are great contributors, to the work that you're doing. And when they don't get it, out of pride, all right, they hold back their commitment to you. They won't follow you. In fact, they will be wondering indeed whether they haven't made a mistake or of thinking that they could trust you. And maybe to whatever extent they have committed themselves to you in the past, and so you have those kinds of people. You want another example? There's a man called John the Baptist. He was very relevant, to the work of Jesus, his master. And a time came that John the Baptist was imprisoned. And of course, his master was walking around doing his job. And he had to send his own people to ask his master, wait a minute, are you the one that we're really expecting as the Messiah, as the one who is supposed to save, as the one who is supposed to lead us? Are you really that person? This is somebody that he baptized. This is somebody that he has seen practically. This is somebody he had a revelation about. So you can imagine that even with a personal revelation, he still got to a point where he was doubting whether or not to commit himself to his leader. And that happens. And that may be happening. And so you see again, is that something you want to worry about? And it's interesting how the leader responded. The leader responded by saying to him, well, told the servants that he sent and said, well, go and tell him what you saw. All right, the blind have their eyes open, the lame can walk, the deaf can hear. Let him be the judge. He didn't say, I am the Savior in that situation, because he was doubting. He was half-hearted in his commitment towards him at that point. All he said, you go and tell him whatever you saw and let him be the judge. The follower will always be the judge, will always be the one. Is a a responsibility that they must carry to decide whether to follow you as a leader or not. It's not your decision. What you do is to do the needful, to encourage them to follow. All right? But they have to take the decision. You can't lord it over them. And if, given the fact that you have done what you are supposed to do, if they don't decide to commit to you, it's their loss. And it's not something for you to worry about, to lose sleep about. I mean, I've been using the examples of Jesus, and he never lost sleep over any of those instances. Let me give you a bonus. Like I said, there are a couple more reasons why you can be in a situation like this. And every single one of those reasons, you don't have anything to lose sleep over. Now, so you can take this as a bonus. Some people won't follow you because they can't handle the truth. You are supposed to be a leader who is committed to the truth. The truth makes you ready to do leadership right. That's what we deal with in the class of 12, addressing 12 brutal truths of leadership. If you know that, if your leadership is founded on those 12 truths, there is no way that you'll be worried about the things that we're talking about. There is no way that you would not succeed. You would be too compelling for anyone to disregard. So Jesus delivered the truth. And one of the truths, what was the truth he was delivering? He says, look, he was saying, and I'm paraphrasing, I am relevant to your life as your leader. You need to follow me. If you follow me, it is to your advantage and you'll benefit. And some people found that statement to be too hard. How can somebody speak like this? They wondered. This is pride and all of that. And instead, and he heard them, and instead of appealing to them, guess what he said? He said, does this truth offend you? He was speaking to people who are following him. He said, does this truth offend you? And of course, it offended them. And they decided not to follow him again. So they left him. But some others, his core 12, were still there. And then he turned to them, surprised them, and said to them, do you want to go with these guys? Do you want to follow them? Because you are free to. That's what he was saying. This thing is not by force. All right? If people are to follow me, I want them to be committed. So this is not by force. If you want to go, please, by all means. And those ones were wise. And they said to him, sir, to whom are we going? He said, you have the words that can transform lives. You have the words of eternal life. You have the words of the leader that is capable of achieving transformation in our lives. And those are the same words of truth that the other people could not handle. Again, see the voice, the words. Those who are to follow you will hear your words and it will excite them. They will recognize it and they will commit to you. Those who are not the right fit followers for you will not. They would have some reason or the other. They will rebel. They will not even, the words won't even make sense to them. and so many other reasons, and they will not follow. Should you be concerned? No. 7 reasons why people will not follow you and why you should not lose sleep over it. Can you see that? Can you see that? You lead authentic. You rise above your vulnerabilities. You lead smartly. There's a way to lead smartly. You rise above that burnout, that overwhelm, some of which comes because you are not mastering with your people the kind of influence that you expected you would like to. So I say in closing, therefore, adding a caveat, and I've mentioned it, at different times in the course of this course, this mini course. The caveat is that you make sure that your people hear your voice, because your voice is the instrument that will help you to sift the wheat from the chaff. Those who should follow you, those who you are called to lead, those who you are sent to, those who will benefit from your leadership, from the others. And they are the ones that haven't done all you should pay more attention to than the others. That's how leadership is done. So I want to invite you to consider programs. You will see information beneath. The Smart Leader program is there, helps you to lead smartly or smarter than whatever it is, whatever your approach is right now. Then we have the class of 12, just for 12 executives, over 12 weeks, drilling down on 12 brutal, foundational truths about leadership that many have forgotten, that guarantee success. They guarantee success. That and many more. Once again, my name is Olatunji Shobodu. I hope that this has been useful for you. If you want to explore it further, check below. You can book a call with me, and let's see how we can be of help to you. We do leadership right. We develop people to do leadership right. We nurture leaders by the word of truth. We nurture leaders by the word of truth. Emet Leadership Academy. God bless you.